What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another Classic WoW video for Season of Discovery. Now, today's video is going to be a little bit different than my usual videos, especially for Classic WoW or Season of Discovery as well. Instead of talking about the news, a gold making guide, gold farm, or anything like that, I'm gonna come out with some raw opinions about the season as a whole, and to be honest, this is going to be a little bit of a rant about Season of Discovery, and just the fact that I was expecting something very different than what we ended up getting. Now, I say this knowing that we are in Phase 3, Phase 4 is on the horizon, we know a little bit about what's to come in Phase 4, and we have more content coming later down the line. But at the same time, we have been playing Season of Discovery for 9 months now, the better part of a year, closing up to the 1 year mark. So we have been playing Season of Discovery for a long time, and that's gonna be the basis of some of my complaints here, that some of the content that I was expecting, we might be getting in a future phase, in which case it's fine, kind of, but I wish we had it by now. Having this mentality of just keep waiting just isn't working for me. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about the raids that we currently have access to, and what was hinted to us in the presentation of the season back at BlizzCon. So they made some posts about this, or on their headlines. They had BFD, they had Nomerigan, which we ended up getting. They had nothing about Sunken Temple, but they did have Scarlet Monastery up there, and they also had Carasan Crypts. Now, we are in Phase 3, we also know what's coming in Phase 4, and we still haven't had anything about a Scarlet Monastery raid, or a Scarlet Halls type of thing, or anything huge involving the Scarlet Monastery, which we could get when, for example, Carasan comes out, or when Naxxramas comes out. Think about Phase 7, Phase 8, we might still get this. Everything that was hinted to us in the BlizzCon presentation we might still get, but I think we should have had it instead of Sunken Temple, give us a scaled up level 15 Scarlet Monastery raid. Would have been way more fun than doing, for example, Sunken Temple, and same thing for Carasan Crypt as well, that might come in a later level 60 phase, but why not include it in Phase 4? Why keep having this just keep waiting mentality? Give us Carasan Crypt in Phase 4, give us Carasan as a raid in Phase 6 or Phase 7, instead of holding back on Carasan Crypt and also Scarlet Monastery. Give it to us now. Give us the new content. What I was going into Season of Discovery kind of expecting was new content. Not just scaled up old content. Not just permanently scaling up old content that we have already done. I was expecting something new. New dungeons. New raids. New battlegrounds. New content. Not just taking what we already have and giving us better rewards and scaling up the difficulty, brand new content. Scarlet Monastery would have been a really good raid to have in Phase 3, even Phase 2 to be fair, but Phase 2 or Phase 3, a Scarlet Monastery raid would have been iconic, and just make it be different than just the same raid. Change the whole atmosphere inside, change the buildings, change the structure, make all the wings be one consecutive raid inside one instance, so you have the whole Scarlet Halls and everything, all the wings, in one place. Carasan Crypt should be here in Phase 4, there's literally no reason not to have Carasan Crypt in Phase 4, if you ask me. Would have hyped up Phase 4 even more as well, and would give you another way to farm your pre-raid bis for Molten Core. Speaking of Molten Core, 20-man raid, same thing again, they have the same old content that we've already done, and they're scaling it down. The world bosses we've already done, they're scaling that down, so everything is just the same content, scaled down and giving you better rewards or different rewards and brand new tier sets. There's not enough new content for me. I was expecting new content. And while we're on the topic of the raids, why did they go through, I think they've already talked about this, but I still don't understand. They went through and deliberately picked the least played dungeons in those level brackets and tuned those into raids. They're usually the least played dungeons for a reason, by the way. Most of them have too much trash too few bosses, and the landscape is weird. This is like the same thing for BFD, No Morrigan, Sunken Temple. The landscape is weird, there's way too much trash, they're too long. Why not pick some of the iconic dungeons and make them raids instead? For example, Phase 1 could have been a Dead Mines raid, and yes, Dead Mines is closer to the Alliance than the Horde, but they could have given you a portal from Booty Bay, accessible from a quest, that gave you a teleport to Munbrook, aka where Dead Mines is, as a Horde. That way, Horde would have had easy access to the raid as well, just like they have in No Morrigan, even though that teleport in Phase 2 for No Morrigan is a old quest from Classic WoW. Blizzard could easily put in a brand new quest to give you a teleport to Munbrook for Dead Mines in Phase 1, and give us a Dead Mines raid instead of a BFD raid. Not saying BFD wasn't good, but once again, there's other dungeons that are more iconic than BFD, and same thing for Phase 2, way more dungeons that are more iconic than No Morrigan. For example, Scarlet Monastery, way more iconic, would have brought a lot more eyes to the raid as well, and people would be way more enthusiastic about the raid than doing No Morrigan. And I mean, for Phase 3, they have so many dungeons to pick from. Like, Sunken Temple is a good baseline, because we have class quests inside Sunken Temple from before that are just being tuned up now. But we could have had a Sulfarak raid, we could have had Maraudon, could have had BRD. Blizzard could have had polls or sent out surveys to see which dungeons people would want the most to be turned into raids, or give us brand new raids. For example, Phase 2 could have been Scarlet Monastery, Scarlet Hall, right? All the wings in one place. Phase 3 could have been the Potence of Uldum. Like, you know the gate in Uldum where you're opening, it has a questline as well, the Potence of Uldum? It could have been the Gates of Uldum raid in Phase 3, and in Phase 4 we get Karasan Crypts as a long dungeon, like a mega dungeon, right? For Karasan Crypts in Phase 4. This would ensure that every single phase after Phase 1 had brand new content every single time, in which case it wouldn't just be playing the old game that you've been playing for a while, it would be trying out something completely new in a world where you are, like, the world is familiar, but there's something new about it, there's something brand new to discover. Next up, let's talk about alt. Leveling alt in Classic WoW. I personally love leveling alt in Classic WoW. That being said, leveling up multiple characters on a seasonal server when you know the server has a limited lifespan feels weird, and it feels weird to put that much time into the characters. That being said, Blizzard has done a good job here scaling up the experience you get, like giving us plus 50%, plus 100%, and in Phase 4 they're doing plus 200%, right, until the current phase basically. So catch up on alts is great, and leveling alts feels pretty great as well. That being said, rune acquisition on alts. Finding runes in Season of Discovery started out by being this really fun and cool thing, to now becoming kind of this tedious chore that you have to go through to get your abilities that you need to have in order to perform at the level you want to perform. And this is fine. Doing it on one character is fine, but then when you have to go through the same cycle on character number 2, then number 3, then number 4, then number 5, then number 6, it becomes very, very tedious and very, very annoying. And Blizzard themselves, they have said that they want playing alt to be a big part of the experience of the season of Discovery, and I don't feel like they're putting in the work to make that a thing, because playing alts at max level just feels like you have to jump through so many hurdles and jump through so many loops in order to play the game. And this is something they could fix very easily by putting in rune vendors, for example, where you can buy the runes on your alt when you have found them on your main. This would not work for every single rune because some of them are class specific and you have to go on like a class specific quest to obtain them, but many of the runes are from the same place. Think about the Booty Bay runes we had in phase 1, think about the Dark Rider runes as well. A lot of the runes are either universal or you get a bunch of runes from the same quest. So once you've done the journey to get a rune once, you would not have to do it again on your alt. And you can just buy the rune for, let's say, 10 gold per rune on the alt. This would create a gold sink in the economy, taking some gold away from people, and it would also make it so you can play more alts effectively without having to sacrifice 20 hours of gameplay just to get your runes. And yes, it does take like 20 hours of gameplay to get all of your runes at max level. If you get boosted or you do incursions from start to finish and you have to go back and do all the content, it takes so much time on some classes to get all the runes you want to have. It's a massive hurdle to jump through, and it shouldn't have to be this way. At least on alts. I know we're playing Classic WoW and having this account-wide feature sounds weird, but at the same time we are playing Seasonal Discovery now. It's not Classic WoW anymore, there's too many changes, and this would have been a big quality of life change, where you can play your alts effectively and you don't have to do Dark Riders 20 times on 20 different alts. It just feels bad. Next up, let's talk about the content cadence, or the length of the phases so far. We are over 9 months into Seasonal Discovery, and we are not even level 60 yet. We are still in the level 50 phase. 9 months in. Like, I know they wanted to keep us from getting to max level, and they wanted to spread across the season, which I thought this is a great idea to start, but I never expected us to spend this long leveling. I expected the leveling phases to be 4 to 6 weeks each, at maximum. 4 to 6 weeks, and then you keep going, instead of every single phase being like a full-fledged Classic WoW phase, or like a Cataclysm phase or a Wrath phase. I expected the leveling phases to be, well, leveling phases. 4 to 6 weeks, leveling up, doing the raid a couple of times. Instead, they want to give us enough time to level up, farm the raid, get full bis, level alt number 2, get full bis on that character as well, and then start speedrunning, or all raid logging. It's 9 months in, and we're level 50 yet. We're not even at the end game. Which just feels bad, because a lot of people have jumped off the train now, they have jumped off the Seasonal Discovery hype, and they never got to experience level 60 content. I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, the leveling has been way too slow, and they've just been staggering out the content as much as they can. It just feels like they're dragging out the content until max level, as much as they can to keep the season alive, even though every single phase they're losing people, and they should just have pumped out content. And for me, 4 to 6 weeks would have been the perfect time for a leveling phase. I would rather feel that the next phase comes out too soon than too late. Because we're not, I don't feel like we're supposed to get full abyss and farm the raid anyway. We're supposed to be leveling up. You're leveling up, doing a level up raid. This is not supposed to be an end game type of raid. It's a level up raid. I don't know, to me the leveling phases seem like they're taking way too long, and being 9 months into the season and not being max level yet, it feels weird. It feels weird. Now, the last thing that I'll be talking about in this video is the class changes that has been happening, and the runes as well that we now have. This started out being this really fun and exciting idea to me, to where now, even in phase 3 and also having phase 4 on the PTR, we are already at the point where I don't feel like the classes are in their classic versions anymore. We have abilities from TBC, Wrath, Cataclysm, Warlords, Mist of Pandaria. We have abilities from so many expansions, and not only that, they have taken away the whole classic feeling of each class, where each class is excelling at one thing or another, like rogues being good for silences and kicks, and mages being good for AoE. It's gone from this your class being special to every class being special, and every class being able to do pretty much everything, having stuns, silences, kicks, all the classes being able to do everything, and having mage healers, warlock tanks, rogue tanks also goes in the same thing, where everyone can do everything, which it goes against my classic spirit. I don't know what to say, the classes just don't feel classic anymore. I kind of feel like if I had to put this into private server perspectives, Blizzard took too much inspiration from Ascension WoW. Meanwhile, what myself personally wanted and was hoping for, and what I feel a lot of other people also were hoping for, was something more like Turtle WoW. So instead of going right, they went left. And to me, that's the wrong way to go, because I wanted to go the other way. And Turtle WoW, for example, just keeps it a lot more classic, while also giving you some small changes, while keeping the classic spirit. And the way Seasonal Discovery has been going so far, the classic spirit is going more and more away every single phase. That being said, I'm still really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to phase 4, but it's lost that classic touch. All of the epics we get access to as well, like they just really boost up your character, and you become so strong. It loses the classic touch to me, and we're doing more DPS at level 50 than we did at level 60 back in the day, and having all the runes that we have access to, it's just, it gives you so many abilities that we never had back in the day either, and it's lost all of the classic touch to me, and it's a whole different game mode than classic. So a quick TLDR for me would be that there's too many class abilities, too many buttons to press, too many class changes, and the classist reminds me way more of their retail version than their classic version, and this comes from someone who's playing retail and Cataclysm, and the classes just remind me way more of a mix between retail and Cataclysm than they do classic WoW. So that to me is, well, not really what I was hoping for or expecting in classic WoW. And number 2, the phasing, the cadence of the phases. I was hoping to be level 60 by now, probably being in phase 2 of level 60 as well, doing Blackwing Lair or something like that. And I was hoping for more new content. Where's Karasan Crypt? Where's the Potent of Uldum? Where's the Scarlet Monastery raid? All of those could come later down the line, in which case that's good, but why not give it to us now? Why not give us the taste of that new content as soon as possible, instead of having this just wait attitude? To me, the just wait, like after 9 months, I'm tired of waiting. I want the new content now. So yeah, overall, Seasonal Discovery happened to be something very different than what I was expecting initially, and even though I've been having a lot of fun, I believe that it could have been done very differently and a lot better in many ways, and there's quite a few things that I would personally like to see changed. Now let me know if you agree or disagree with me in the comments down below, and let me know what positive and negative takes you have about Seasonal Discovery as a whole in the comments down below as well. I would love to see your opinions on everything, so let me know. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below as well, and thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.